In today's video, we're going to be resurfacing and rejuvenating this old driveway for less than $660 in materials and doing it ourselves and showing you guys how to do the exact same thing. We don't have to demolish and remove the old surface. In fact, we leave that in place. This saves us a ton of cost in demolition, excavation, and preparation work. So let's get going. Love these results or hate them, the point is to understand the process so that you guys can create your own masterpiece. Now for today's project, we're using a product called Flowcoat. This is a polymer modified concrete resurfacer. It can go from a feather edge, meaning micro thin, all the way up to a 1/2 inch in thickness. But the important thing is this is designed to bond with your existing concrete driveway, meaning that you can leave it in place without the hassle or expense of removing it.
So that was a full batch. A 40-pound bag of Flowcoat you just poured out?
Yeah. Now Flowcoat would typically be gray, but for today's project we added a color just to give it a unique look. If you decide to add color into your project, you must first mix it into the water and thoroughly stir it up. Don't mix it into the Flowcoat because it won't distribute through the thicker material evenly. Once your coloring is thoroughly mixed into the water, then you can add Flowcoat. Here's a tip to make your life easier. First add 3 quarts of water into the bucket, then add your material, and then add your last 1/2 quart of water. When you're mixing your Flowcoat, precision with your water is key to get consistency over the entire project. Don't go by feel, measure out your water quantity. Now before we ever put any Flowcoat down, we've got to properly prepare that surface, and that means we've got to patch it, repair it, and clean it, and that's in part 1 of our 3-part series. Make sure you check that video out before you go any further. Now Flowcoat sets up relatively fast, so make sure you section off a larger area into a smaller bite-sized chunk, anywhere from 100 to 150 square feet at a time. Control joints must be maintained. The easiest way to do that is either with a foam insert or weather stripping. It's essential that you pre-wet the existing surface before the flows down to get the best possible adhesion.
Now would you get out of my way?
Now Flowcoat is mixed up in small batches using a 5-gallon pail and a hand mixer. You don't use a cement mixer with this product, but it's a continual process, meaning you go from one batch to the next batch to the next batch with no break in between. So it's good to have a few extra hands when you're tackling a bigger project.
So I tried the Milwaukee cordless drill for mixing this, and the problem I ran into is that drill actually has almost too much torque for the control that I had on it. I was having it like this, and I was just kind of fighting it. It was going all over. And the Milwaukee mud mixer is awesome because it has the right amount of torque, and I have that extra handle to really give me that stable control to move it and be very precise with my mixing.
Now once you're finished resurfacing your driveway, you can walk on it in 24 hours and drive on it in 72. Now that we've covered a few of the do's on a project, let's cover a few of those things you think maybe you could get away with, but you better not. First off, never mix in different batches in the same area. They just don't go together. One batch has started to set up, you can't top coat that with the second one and think that it'll blend together. In fact, what'll happen is it'll ripple on you. Number 2, don't overwork Flowcoat. It's easy to think that the more you work it, the better the results you're going to get, but the exact opposite is true. Once you pour it in place, you squeegee it off, leave it. If you have any imperfections, you can hit them with a broom, but if you overwork it, you could lose the entire batch. Number 3, follow the mixing instructions precisely. It's easy to get Flowcoat too wet or too dry. It'll look okay in the bucket, but it won't look so hot in the finished result. Number 4, when you divide a section up, make sure that you broom that section evenly. If you have uneven broom marks, it'll show up in your finished result. So now that you've got your Flowcoat successfully installed, in the next video we're going to show you how to create a custom look with bare bones materials. So make sure you subscribe because that one's coming next.